The NCAA ruled in July 2021 that college athletes can be compensated for their name, image, and likeness, known as NIL. While several functional CPG brands have forged early partnerships, I want to explore why most are still sitting on the sideline. Leading up to the landmark change, I felt NIL could offer fertile ground for functional CPG brands. It provided access to influential members of a consumer cohort that tends to be one of the most valuable to functional CPG brands, especially if we're talking about sports and active nutrition. Since I worked with several functional CPG brands that were aggressively seeking deals, I guess I wrongly assumed that the broader industry would be prepared to participate from the start. That being said, there was an initial summertime burst of attention grabbing nil headlines in the functional CPG industry. Off the top of my head, I remember my old boss at Muscle Farm, the CEO, Brad Pyatt's new company, PlantFuel, invested, I think, well over the mid six figures in its entire student athlete program. They signed LSU gymnast Olivia Dunn, also then Oklahoma quarterback Spencer Radler, and a dozen other high profile college athletes. Iowa Health Sciences owned Six Star Pro Nutrition brand. They signed six athletes and used those athletes themselves in an integrated dynamic advertising campaign called Student Athlete Stories. And throughout the inaugural fall season, there were some wins, some telling trends in terms of distribution of the deals, and a lot of groundwork laid by these first companies. During the spring season, we started to see functional beverage companies jump into the mix. You had Optimum Nutrition leveraging the University of Texas to launch its new Orange Blast flavor of the popular Amino Energy Plus electrolyte sparkling hydration drink. Gatorade signed women's basketball standout Paige Buchers and HBCU player Shador Sanders. BioSteel snagged the nation's top freshman female basketball player. And while I missed a handful of other impactful announcements, why didn't we see more nil deals from functional CPG brands? One word, and that's confusion. The NCAA policy removed the restriction on student athletes receiving compensation for nil, but did not enact uniform policies or rules. The landmark shift in NCAA amateurism rules that opened the door for nil opportunities was catalyzed by new state laws. Roughly half of the states in the US created some form of legislation in the lead up to this past July that guaranteed a college athlete's right to make endorsement money. To address concerns about a pay for play system evolving in the NCAA, many of those laws included regulations prohibiting a school from being directly involved in facilitating deals for its students. The NCAA initially planned to create similar restrictions when changing its rules to align with the wave of state laws that started going into effect last summer. But the organization backed away from any specific nationwide regulations, though, out of fear that those limits could be seen as thwarting competition in violation of federal antitrust law. The lack of detailed NCAA policy means that states that didn't push for these no laws, such as Utah, now actually have fewer restrictions than states that were proactively pressuring the association to change. I mention Utah because maybe one of the best known functional CPG nil deals happened at BYU. The Built Bar Company, a protein bar company, and a sponsor of the BYU program paid the tuition of all 36 BYU football walk ons. This was a brokered deal. BYU helped facilitate it. This would be the kind of deal that would be illegal in some other states. And this patchwork of slightly varying state laws will likely produce scenarios in which certain types of businesses can contract with student athletes in some states, but not in others. It also remains possible that the federal government could enact legislation that once again changes how companies navigate nil rules. Functional CPG brands interested in inking their first nil deals with student athletes should keep in mind that current laws allow for a wide variety of agreements. Nil deals have so far proven to range from six-figure deals to contracts in which student athletes might merely receive a few $100s or even non-cash compensation. Despite those headline-grabbing deals that I shared above, the current data shows that most student athletes are making much less. Open Doors, a athlete marketing and NIL platform, reported that through December 31st of 2021, deals that passed through the platform earned on average, so not median, but average, of $1,036 since the start of July 1st, 2021. I think the median and another platform said it was somewhere around $50. It's predicted that NIL endorsements would create a multi billion dollar market. I still think that is a reality. For one, I expect that functional CPG brands that weren't prepared to participate in the first two kind of seasons, college sports seasons, are now going to go into the latter part of 2022 with a lot of firepower in their budget for student athlete NIL endorsements. For two, I think the overall maturation of this entire construct will start to happen. There is a lack of turnkey solutions. As maybe many functional CPG brand owners that are listening to this already kind of know, influencer marketing has always been quite messy, but making this as easy as possible is really a big opportunity that I think a lot of people will kind of come in and try to solve for. While pro athletes have agents, they have players associations, and a lot of resources help them find opportunities and support them in the activation and fulfillment of those. Student athletes are still trying to figure all this out, how to balance everything without much support. NCAA athletes want to do deals ASAP, but not every athlete is a marketing major. To be highly successful in this form of influencer marketing, functional CPG brands should provide guidance and teach these athletes what good content is by giving them great examples. Explain the difference between features and benefits when it comes to pitching those CPG products and make it easy for them to succeed. While larger brands might look to college athletes with national name recognition and or large social media followings, regional companies should consider partnering with student athletes who are popular within those local markets. Remember, it's important to find those athletes who truly love your brand. These student athletes will create the best content for you. Also, look for ways to build deeper relationships and see how they can help you expand your ambassador program beyond the locker room and into their peers, friends, and family. Also, look past the normal large conference football and men's basketball player deals that accounted for most of the nil compensation. I see women's athletics as a huge opportunity. The same can be said around HBCU athletes. Now is a great time to show that your functional CPG brand is forward thinking and wants to help these athletes get the attention they deserve. Finally, it's important to not just use game performance as the most important determinant of marketing power. While it might take a bit more research, functional CPG brands should put a significant focus on the relevance and overall storytelling fit of the athlete when determining some of their investment decisions. Gen Z athletes have become savvy at presenting themselves, their brand, and their values via social media. So make sure you're leveraging that. I just want to end on some quick final thoughts. As you can see, the theme here is that these new NCAA NIL rule changes provide a lot of opportunities for functional CPG brands to create more awareness and increase sales volume. The key to success with NCAA athlete marketing is knowing the rules, acting fast, finding new opportunities, educating those ambassadors that you do bring onto your team, and building meaningful relationships with them. While this may all seem very simple, the work that needs to be done properly to build a athlete ambassador program is quite cumbersome. So make sure you build in flexibility and creativity to deal with unforeseen risks. I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. If you did, consider hitting that like button to support me. Also, help me get to my short-term goal of 2,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button. I'd love to see you join me on this journey, but we need to fix the fact that slightly less than 80% of you that are watching this video right now are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, and that makes me extremely sad. But just want to thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.